Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video we will be looking at AQA AS Psychology 2017 Paper 1 Example Answers for Psychopathology, which you need to know for AQA A-Level Psychology. I hope you enjoy this video and find it helpful. Let's get started. Please note that these answers have been produced with knowledge of the mark scheme but have not been approved by the mark scheme themselves. There are 3 assessment objectives, AOs, in psychology. In this video they are color-coded. AO1 Knowledge, purple. AO2 Application, blue. AO3 Evaluation, red and green. In AS there are 12 mark questions, instead of 16 mark questions. For the purpose of this video and to avoid confusion for A-Level, the 12 mark questions have been turned into 16 mark questions. Question 1. Briefly outline how flooding might be used to treat a phobia. 2 marks. Flooding is based on the idea that anxiety cannot be maintained indefinitely and eventually subsides. Flooding aims to expose the sufferer to the phobic object or situation for an extended period of time in a safe and controlled environment. A person is bombarded with fear by being immediately exposed directly to their most fear-provoking and anxiety-inducing stimuli, which causes a state of extreme anxiety and panic. Eventually, exhaustion of the phobic response sets in, and the anxiety level begins to go down. This prevents avoidance, and therefore, prevents the reinforcement of a phobia through escape or avoidance behaviors, which allows patients to understand that the phobic stimulus is harmless. The exposure and bombardment will continue until anxiety subsides and an extinction of fear response occurs. The patient will also taught and encouraged to use relaxation techniques prior to the exposure of the phobic stimuli, which continues until the patient is able to fully relax. Prolonged intense exposure eventually creates a new association between the feared object and something positive, e.g. a sense of calm and lack of anxiety. A flooding session can last for 2 or 3 hours. Question 2. Briefly outline how systematic desensitization might be used to treat a phobia. 2 marks. Systematic desensitization is a type of behavioral therapy based on the principle of classical conditioning. Using counter-conditioning, the process by which a new conditioned association response is created and learnt to a stimulus that already has a maladaptive conditioned response, and the idea that 2 opposite emotions cannot coexist, reciprocal inhibition. This therapy aims to gradually remove the fear response of a phobia and substitute and elicit an antagonistic relaxation response to the conditional stimulus through the use of an anxiety hierarchy. This will lead to the extinction of the fear response. There are phases to this treatment. Question 3. Briefly discuss one reason why systematic desensitization might be a more successful treatment for phobias than flooding. 2 marks. Systematic desensitization might be more successful than flooding because it is more ethical. Patients prefer this treatment shown by the low refusal and attrition rates, which lead to higher completion rates. This works suitably for a wider range of clients. Systematic desensitization also prioritizes the well-being of the patient by allowing them to progress at their own pace. This ethical consideration is crucial, as it respects the individual's emotional state and personal boundaries. Additionally, the use of relaxation techniques during exposure helps to create a sense of safety and control for the patient, further enhancing the ethical nature of this treatment. Bob always checks that doors are locked and plug sockets are switched off. His checking routine has become very time-consuming. He now feels overwhelmed with fears that his family could be in danger if he does not complete his checking routine. His doctor thinks Bob has obsessive-compulsive disorder. Question 4. Explain what is meant by obsessions and compulsions. Refer to Bob in your answer. 4 marks. Obsessions are intrusive, recurring and unwanted thoughts, whereas compulsions are repetitive behaviors and acts. Bob is overwhelmed by fear that his family will be in danger due to him, which is an obsessive thought. Bob checks that doors are locked or plug sockets switched off before he can leave the house, which is a compulsion. Question 5. Bob's doctor is sending him for a brain scan and is looking into his family history. How might the biological approach be used to explain Bob's obsessive-compulsive disorder? 4 marks. Neural explanations, neurochemical and neurophysiological, relate to Bob having a scan. The basal ganglia and other circuits have been implicated, suggesting that disturbed communication in these structures might account for the repetitive behaviors seen in Bob's OCD. Also, OCD has been linked to abnormality and excessive activity in the orbital frontal cortex and thalamus, with the abnormal functioning of the parahippocampal gyrus, related to the regulation of unpleasant emotions. Genetic explanations relate to Bob's family history being looked at. Doctors may search for gene markers including gene 9, COMT, SERT that Bob might have inherited. Family studies have also indicated that if a first-degree relative, e.g. a parent or sibling, has OCD, then it is much more likely that Bob will have OCD. Question 6. Explain how findings of psychological research into the treatment of depression could have implications for the economy. 2 marks. Psychological research may lead to improvements in treatment programs and interventions for mental disorders, leading to a reduction of pressure on health services, e.g. the NHS, that provide support, help and services, e.g. hospitalizations, emergency care, and long-term disability support, and are already underfunded and strained. Question 7. Outline and evaluate 2 definitions of abnormality. 8 marks. Statistical infrequency is defined as abnormal behavior, thinking or traits that are statistically or numerically rare, uncommon or anomalous within a population. It relies on the use of up-to-date statistics and focuses on the quantity of behavior measured in standard deviations from the mean rather than the quality, occupying the extreme ends of a normal distribution curve. For example, low IQ is defined as an intellectual disability disorder, but high IQ is also defined as an intellectual disability. A strength of statistical infrequency as a definition of abnormality is that defining abnormality using statistical criteria can be appropriate and effective in many situations. For example, this approach allows for a clear and objective measure of behavior, making it easier to identify individuals who may need help. By quantifying behaviors and mental states, it provides a systematic way to differentiate between normal and abnormal functioning. This can be particularly useful in clinical settings, where mental health professionals can use statistical data to inform diagnoses and treatment plans. Additionally, it can aid in the identification of rare disorders that may require specialized intervention, ensuring that individuals receive the appropriate support tailored to their specific needs. This is a strength because it suggests that statistical infrequency provides a reliable framework for identifying abnormal behavior, which can lead to timely and appropriate interventions. By using objective data, mental health professionals can make informed decisions about diagnoses and treatment, ultimately improving outcomes for individuals who may otherwise go unnoticed. Additionally, it helps create a standardized approach to understanding mental health, which can be beneficial in research and clinical practice. A limitation of statistical infrequency as a definition of abnormality is that some disorders are not statistically rare. For instance, conditions like anxiety and depression are relatively common in the general population, yet they can still be considered abnormal in terms of functioning and behavior. This means that using statistical infrequency alone can lead to mislabeling individuals who experience common psychological issues as normal, while overlooking those who may have rarer conditions that significantly impair their daily lives. Furthermore, this definition does not take into account the social context or cultural norms, which can vary widely. This is a limitation because it suggests that the definition of abnormality may be too simplistic and fail to capture the complexities of mental health issues. By relying solely on statistical infrequency, it overlooks the importance of context, individual experiences, and the subjective nature of what constitutes abnormal behavior. This could lead to inadequate support for individuals who are struggling with common yet significant psychological conditions. Deviation from social norms is defined as abnormal behavior that goes against or contravenes laws, unwritten rules, or expectations in a given society, culture, or situation. Therefore, any behavior that does not conform to accepted or expected standards is abnormal. For example, respect for human life, queuing at a bus stop, greeting etiquette, dress codes, personal space. A strength of deviation from social norms as a definition of abnormality is that it gives society the right to intervene and helps to improve the lives of people suffering from mental disorders who may not be able to get help themselves. If used correctly, this definition can have a significantly positive impact on the lives of mentally ill people. By identifying behaviors that deviate from accepted social norms, mental health professionals can better recognize individuals who may be struggling and in need of support. This proactive approach allows for early intervention, which can lead to timely treatment and improved outcomes for those affected. Furthermore, societal intervention can also raise awareness about mental health issues, reducing stigma and encouraging more people to seek help. In this way, the definition not only serves to protect individuals but also promotes a more compassionate and understanding community. This is a strength because it suggests that by recognizing and addressing behaviors that deviate from social norms, society can play a crucial role in supporting those who may not be able to advocate for themselves. It highlights the importance of early intervention, which can lead to better mental health outcomes and foster a more inclusive and understanding community for individuals facing mental health challenges. A limitation of deviation from social norms as a definition of abnormality is that the social norms definition could be used as an abusive instrument of social control. This means that behaviors deemed abnormal could be labeled as such not necessarily due to genuine mental health concerns, but rather to suppress or control individuals whose actions challenge societal expectations. For example, individuals who express alternative lifestyles, beliefs, or behaviors that diverge from mainstream norms might be pathologized simply for being different. For instance, in the late 1950s in Russia, anyone who disagreed with the government risked being diagnosed as insane and placed in a mental institution. This misuse of the social norms definition can lead to the stigmatization of those who do not conform, potentially resulting in discrimination and marginalization. It raises ethical concerns about the power dynamics involved in defining what constitutes normal behavior. Furthermore, it could result in the unjust treatment of individuals, where they may face coercive measures or forced interventions under the guise of maintaining social order. This is a limitation because it suggests that the criteria for defining abnormality may be overly reliant on subjective societal standards, which can vary greatly across different cultures and time periods. This variability means that what is considered normal in one context may be viewed as abnormal in another, leading to inconsistencies in the application of psychological assessments. Furthermore, this reliance on social norms can obscure the underlying psychological or medical issues that may be present, as it prioritizes conformity over individual differences and experiences. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content like this. Bye.